Hey guys, this is here bringing you another video and welcome to a patch note breakdown. So this is for, believe it or not, we're already at 25.5 or 05. Already 5 patches in the new year. This year's already going quite quick, right? So I will say just a little bit of good news. 2 things actually. Today in the UK is Pancake Day. So it's technically a religious day. But people like me, we call it Pancake Day. We eat pancakes on Pancake Day. So we've just had dinner. I'm now recording patch notes, letting our dinner go down, and then I'm going to be making pancakes. Life is good. Secondly, in a few days' time, I've still got 1 to 2 more days worth of just normal ranked content. But we began Unranked to Diamond today. So you'll be seeing that, as I said, in a few days' time, Unranked to Diamond will be starting to be uploaded. So it was good. Anyway, let's get into it. So, I know Arena is coming back. So on the right, I always judge if a patch is big or not, judging by like how big the scroll bar is. It's quite a big scroll bar, but quite a lot about Arena might be in this. So let me know if you're going to be playing Arena or not. So the first patch of Act 2 is here. So yeah, Act 2, nothing is changing too much, you know, but we had Act 1 and then Act 2. And then after Act 2, we'll have potentially a different themed map. It's rumoured to be Demacia. But anyway, the nerfs, a lot of nerfs, more than buffs, to Ambessa, Ashe, Aurora, Cho'Gath, Elise, Cassante, Skarner and Yorick. We're getting buffs to Aphelios, Mundo, Seraphine and Zed. Poppy adjustments, probably once again trying to get rid of her overpowered nature and support, but not hurt top or jungle too much. And then we're getting system changes to Axiom Arcanist lane swaps, which again, basically F in chat to lane swaps, thankfully. Nobody likes them. It's mainly a pro play thing, but obviously because we fundamentally play on the same patch as pros, they have to implement the changes in our patches as well. The only thing it will actually hurt, I would say, when it comes to normal solo queue games is support roaming. So support roaming will not be as good now, which is a good thing to me. So yeah, Sixth Sense, Staff of Flowing Water, Unflinching and Young Tal, new skins, which are, I believe this is the battle pass, this is the new battle pass for Act 2, and it's kind of Grand Reckoning. It's not very Noxus obviously themed skins. Obviously there was massive controversy behind quite a few of them. They have deleted the upcoming Alistair one. That is just gone. And, like, I kind of said it as well. It's like, right, like, yep, we heard your feedback. We're not releasing it. But then other people were like, if you're an Alistair player, yeah, it was a bad skin. And it basically was a chroma. But why not just go, we'll release it, but cheaper? Huh? We used to have 520 RP skins. If you're just deleting it, it doesn't exist. Couldn't you just, like, go, it's a 520 RP skin. If you want it, you can buy it. You don't have to. Alistair mains may buy it. Why not do that? I don't know. Anyway, let's get into it. So, Hextech chests. So yeah, Hextech chests are back, baby. If you obviously, I did the dev video a few days ago. A few more things. Obviously, that was literally a reaction to everything. So technically, Hextech chests are better than they were before. So you were maxed out, I believe, because you could get 1, I think, per week or something before. You could get 52 Hextech chests in a year in the old system. You now, if you complete battle passes, and it's the free battle pass, then you get 8 per free battle pass, and then you can get 2 with honor. So you can get 60 per year comparing to the old 52. So technically it's a buff. But obviously don't forget, you know, honor orb things are gone. Like there are still negatives in this. But yeah, so Hextech chests are coming back. The chests are replacing the free skin in the battle pass. So again, that I think the Alistair skin was the free one that you got, because even in the free battle pass, they basically gave you an absolutely like shoddy, very low quality skin. So you're getting a chest instead. Blue Essence of all champions are being 50% reduction, but obviously remember, they kind of nerfed Blue Essence by about 50%. So it's kind of much of a muchness. Yes, it's nice that champs are getting 50% cheaper, but they made getting blue essence a lot harder overall, unless you, I think, buy the battle pass. And you, like me right now, I'm farming blue essence like mad, because when you complete the paid battle pass, you get to the end of it. Every single time you then level up a new battle pass level, you're basically just given 750 blue essence most levels. I think occasionally you're given orange essence, but yeah, you're just given blue essence constantly. So yeah, you're also getting mythic essence on the paid battle pass. But yeah. Blue Essence Emporium is coming back, and your shop is coming back. Two things that it was rumored they were getting rid of. Obviously, the Maud skin is going away because it was just terrible. So there we go. So, the full Act 2 Battle Pass rewards. So this is the, you know, in terms of the old pass, what is it giving you that it didn't before, I guess. So if you want to take the time and look into it, go ahead. I'm 50-50 if I'm going to get the Battle Pass or not. I'm not really sure. But yeah. Anyway, obviously I did a whole video about chests, so I'm not going to go into them in detail right now. Lane swaps, so obviously, yeah, very much pro-focused, because for those that don't get it, lane swaps are fundamentally anti-viewer. They are very boring, because what you're basically doing, there's a few different reasons that you may do a lane swap. There's two primaries. One, how do I say? You know you are outmatched by the enemy. So if you know you're outmatched by the enemy, you can do a lane swap so your 2v2 is not playing like in 2v2. So if you feel that you're going to get outmatched, you lane swap, you sacrifice your early top laner, but you'll usually put the top laner on something that hyper scales. So that's where you'll put them on a Jax or something of that nature, a Scion, that you'll put them on something that will eventually become useful, but you're not going to put them really on a Renekton. And if a team, like, and, you know, sometimes in Champs League, if a team picks a Renekton, you could then immediately go, let's lane swap. Because then you're then avoiding the Renekton in a 1v1, and that's where Renekton's going to shine in the early game. So that's kind of why lane swaps happen, to avoid bad matchups. If you know you're technically getting a bit beat as player quality, it can get you through the early game when normally you may just get beaten in the early game. So yeah, it's kind of boring. Nobody really likes it, apart from the teams that are using it realistically. So yeah, I'm happy it's gone. So basically, what they're doing is from 1:30, so when like blue buff spawns and all that, to 3 minutes 30, if two enemy champions, both of whom don't have a jungle item, are top or mid in the surrounding areas, it's detecting a lane swap has happened. So if an AD carry and a support are in top lane at the beginning of the game, it's detecting it's happened. If a team has no junglers, the rule is disabled. So there could be a meta that a team doesn't take a jungler, but I doubt it. And also if a team has two or more junglers, so they've even thought what if people try to circumnavigate this with people taking, like a support taking smite? Could you like cheek it and kind of go around it? Riot's obviously thought about that. So it'll be included in the check if there's two people with smite. So that's smart by Riot, because again, that's kind of like what some pros would have tried to like cheese it a bit. And then champions who are about to trigger the lane swap will get a warning ping that you're doing it. And you'll have a debuff icon above their champion. So making it very clear you're penalized right now. And then while detected, defending the turret has the defending tower that's in the 2v1 in the lane swap has a 95% damage reduction. 95%. The tower also deals 1,000% more damage to minions, so it would be one-shotting minions. Which will screw the top laner who's trying to farm them, but still. And then defending tower and minions give gold and XP. Oh, never mind. Never mind. The tower getting a kill will grant gold and XP to the near champion. So if you're the top laner, you don't actually have to last hit them. The tower is giving you the gold and XP. So the top laner is massively benefiting from this. So there is no reason lane swapping anymore. And by the way, it's worth knowing this is only for top or mid, like mainly top. So if you're the team that has swapped to top and you're like, oh, our top laner and bot lane are getting these benefits, they're not. They are not getting these benefits. It's only for top and mid, but then 1 point is only for top lane. Because that's where the team that puts their AD carry and support in top lane is the team that wants the lane swap to happen. Those are the people that are getting punished. So, yeah. And then offending champions also gain 50% less gold and XP from minions. And this will linger for 20 seconds in the top lane and 6 seconds for mid lane. And in top lane only, the defending tower also deal 1,000 damage to champions. And the defending champion has a 50% damage reduction under their tower. So that's to protect from tower dives. Because usually what happens in these lane swaps is 2 people go top. The top lane is now stuck under their tower. And then the jungler comes for a 3v1 tower dive. It's very common. That won't happen. They'll all die. So, yeah, basically, lane swap meta is dead. And, you know, will it kill support roaming? No. But I have seen some supports actively try and roam before 3 minutes 30. At least to mid lane. Well, they shouldn't do that anymore, in theory. So, yeah. Adakan's spawn influence. Again, they've already changed this quite a lot, by the way. But we're making some adjustments with Adakan's form spawn rules around tower dives to better catch deaths that happen between 2 of the team's towers in the same lane. We're also increasing the effect on score from a few first kills and tower dives, which should result in early game having more influence on seeing ruinous or voracious Adakan. Okay. Paragon Chroma updates. Again, Chromas are Chromas, whatever. Summoner's Rift map. The Noxus map has been updated to be a little bit less dreary, particularly in the lanes, bringing a tone a bit closer to the standard Summoner's Rift map. So yeah, some people, that was one of the negatives that people said about the Noxus map. It's like, it's all just dark and red. Sure. Again, I'm colorblind, so I probably see it very different than everybody else, but fair enough. Right, nerfs. Or changes. First champion change. Ambessa. E damage decreased. So Ambessa's a bit too good at assassinating squishy targets. Yeah, this is the problem. She's supposed to be a bruiser, but then people are just playing her in a one-shot way. Like, I think they get that, like, cryo sword thing, but then, like, lethality. She's not really supposed to do that, but it's just because her damage is so incredibly high. So they're just nerfing her base damage, but keeping that will probably mean her damage will still one-shot squishy things. But yeah. Aphelios, attack speed ratio increase, so a buff to Aphelios. He isn't critically weak, but his build's mostly focused on spell-based outputs and not his actual attacks. So they're buffing up his attack speed ratio in basically helping attack speed Aphelios. Fair enough. Ash. Oh. We overshot last patch Ash buff by a lot. I've not seen a crazy amount of strong Ashes personally, but sure. So they're just kind of nerfing something that they overbuffed. So yeah, her damage to her arrow is being reduced by 50. And I think it got buffed by 50 maybe last patch. So they're just getting rid of that part. I think she had 2 parts of a buff. So they're just getting rid of part of it. Aurora. This champion does ridiculous damage. I've played obviously a bit of Aurora in the last couple weeks. Stupid. Like, when people say the difference between modern champions and old champions you cannot compare, literally Aurora is one of the best examples. She will half health something at level 2, hitting a Q and E, and that's it. Q, which goes in, comes out, counts as 2 things. E, that's your electrocute proc. Someone is half health at level 2. You can't get anywhere close to that playing an old champion. Any champion over 4 years old, not in the same realm in terms of damage. It's crazy. So they're nerfing the damage by 10% AP ratio, so still won't really be that bad in the early game. It'll be a bit worse, but not too much, because again, you don't have a lot of AP in the early game, so it's more your base damage. And then the ultimate, but board and collision slow, is being nerfed as well. So when the big circle, which obviously used to bounce you back into it, they got rid of that mechanic very quickly. It now slows you if you're trying to get out of the big circle by 75%. It's now 50%. So it's less of a slow as well. So 2 nerfs for Aurora. Mr. Cho'Gath. So mid lane, high speed Cho'Gath. I played it obviously once in a video a few days ago just to kind of do it before it was nerfed. It was good. Again, it kind of is exactly what I've going to be saying. It's a playstyle that doesn't require any skill. And like fundamentally, one thing that Riot is going to, I would say, struggle with in like forever now, really, there is a pretty damn high percentage of players, at least to me, that they chase these type of playstyles. they chase a playstyle that fundamentally you can do every game. It's achievable every game. It's easy every game, and it's going to get you LP because it's strong. And I think people that kind of used a lot of Cho'Gath mid recently, high movement speed Cho'Gath, were the same people that were spamming Volley Bear top a few months ago. It's the same group of players that they chase these easy to play, abusable things. And Riot it's really hard to stop them because new ones keep popping up. And yeah, they'll keep nerfing them, but Riot's also not the quickest at nerfing them either. So the Q damage is decreased. The W damage is decreased. The E damage decreased at lower ranks, but increased later because it's harder to actually get an auto attack in late game. But yeah, so fundamentally, nerfs across the early game board. And that's the thing. Cho'Gath has always been a very good scaling champion, and they don't want probably that to go away. He had in mid lane, and I will say it's part of a mid lane problem. If you put Cho'Gath against any mage, Cho'Gath won the lane, he had a free lane phase. Like, it's just mages can't really deal with it. And then hilariously, if you put an assassin against Cho'Gath, well, they can't deal with it either because it's a Cho'Gath. So mid lane just was a lane that he could actually excel in because of just what Cho'Gath is. And obviously as mid lane, building high speed Cho'Gath, rushing Shurelya's battle song, and then Deadman, he could roam all around bot lane very quickly. He was really high speed. So it was a problem. So base damage starting at a level 2 nerf for his Q. 40 damage nerf at max rank. The W also a nerf, again starting at rank 2. And then the Vorpal spikes. So it used to be 3% of target's maximum health. It's now lower than that. It equalizes at rank 3, and then it gets better as the game goes on. Fair enough. So that's still, he's still a good scaling champ is what they're trying to say. Elise. Q damage in both forms decrease. Obviously, this is probably more for support Elise, but she still is a strong champion, both in jungle and support. So last patch changes succeeded in bringing Elise jungle and support closer in power, but we overshot the magnitude of our buffs. We're happy with her offensive power being more about sustained spider attacks. I do wonder if Riot is happy about what's happened to support. They must be, right? Because if they weren't, they would have done something by now. We've had non-support champions actively be in the support role for over a year now. We had Camille, Poppy took over, Elise has been really big. Like, it's been quite a long time of having non-supports actively be good in support. So they must be fine with it. It must be the direction that they're fine with what they want in support to be. So yeah. Obviously, in pro play, I imagine you don't see as much of this stuff. It's more of a solo queue thing. So yeah. So yeah, both nerfs slightly to human form Q and spider form Q. Fair enough. Mr. Cassante, way still too OP. Played against a Cassante today in Unranked Diamond. I wasn't directly against him in lane, but oh boy, that champion is strong. Again, his kit is fundamentally broken, is part of the problem, but yeah. So Cassante's early laning phase is just too strong, and some of his outputs later in the game are a bit shocking and overly powerful. Yeah, basically OP. Especially around highly charged Pathmaker casts. We're nerfing both of these aspects with a couple of targeted adjustments. And the amount of changes that Cassante has had is absolutely absurd with how modern and new he is. It's, again, sometimes something that's broken is just broken. And I think, you know, instead of just doing these little tweaks here and there, you need to do a fundamental change. Like, they have recently just announced Nefari, the dog assassin, is getting an update. Like, an actual kit update, because she just doesn't work. Like, that's, to me, what Cassante needs. And I know people will say he's had kind of one or two of them already. Not enough. Like, it's... I think part of the problem is fundamentally the concept of having a tank that can then transform and be a damage dealer with stupid high mobility. That concept is just quite a broken concept in League. Because you can't really deal with it. And you could say maybe because items are strong and AD carries don't, you know, in current AD carries, they don't have a lot of ways to deal with it, which they don't. But yeah. So nerf to his passive. Mark damage is going down considerably from 20 to 12. That's quite a lot based on target's max HP. And then the W, all out true damage, is also going down 20% nerfed. When he's all out is when he's in his ultimate, and then yeah, the charge of the W when it's kind of launching at somebody, that is being nerfed. Mr. Mundo. So okay, that's the nerf that I'm okay with. I was a bit concerned when I saw Mundo as a buff. I know Mr. Fraz will be watching potentially. Mundo still has the opportunity to still get very, very strong. The thing with Mundo is he should do terrible in the early game, and he is a hyperscaling champion. Like he always has been. I used to play Mundo years ago competitively. Like if you let a Mundo get to level 16, it's not as powerful as a Kale, even though it probably has been in the last few months. He is a very nightmare scary champion if you do let him get there. However, his early game, and it's not a Mundo thing, it's a league thing, that late game hyper carries, for some reason or another, have had much easier early games than they ever have. I've seen Kale's winning lane, I've seen Vlad's winning lane, I've seen Kassadin's win lane, I've seen Mundo's win lane. All four of those champions historically have done terribly in lane always. So I think it's a league thing that you're seeing late game champions do better early. So when a Mundo does okay in the early, his mid game is very scary. And obviously it all depends draft. If the enemy top laner is the last pick and they're going to pick Mundo, and you've already all drafted your team and you don't have a true percentage health damage dealing champion, Mundo will just take over a game and there's nothing you can do about it. So he is a scary champion. So this buff, I'm kind of okay with it. It's not a massive buff. His base health was 613. It's going to 640. That's it. It is helping his early game. And as I said, that's his weakness, or supposed to be his weakness is early. But that's not going to change too much. I think that's okay. Poppy. AD growth increase, passive shield formula reworked, and E damage decrease. Okay, so the E damage is more for the support stuff. The other stuff is for top, I guess, and jungle. So HP growth is going up, so should be tankier, which is historically what is supposed to be Poppy. Is she's kind of a tank. She's not really supposed to be like an AD assassin like we've been seeing her in bot lane for a long time. Her passive, which is the throw of the shield. The shield is based on max HP percentage. That's getting buffed for Poppy, but based on her max HP. So the more HP she has, the better. So building tank is beneficial. Building tank items, health items. And then the heroic charge, okay. Ooh, see, this is a mixture. This is a mixture of a buff and a nerf. It's a nerf to base damage, will hurt early game support, but it's a 20% bonus AD ratio buff. So if you are playing support Poppy with just building AD items, like legit AD items, that's a buff eventually. Weird. Seraphine. So a buff to her Q, because yeah, this champion does very little damage. I will say, like, oh look, typical mage supports, because Riot, she's a support. Again, some people still try to hold on that one, she's either a mid lane, or two, she's a carrying bot. No, she's a support. She is amazing at it. Tomorrow I'm even uploading a Seraphine support game. She is an incredibly powerful support, and her ultimate is like literally a game-winning ultimate. But you don't need to play her as a carry. That's the problem that Seraphine partially has, is because of her kit, there is no reason to play her in AD carry or mid, because she fundamentally will do the same job, if not better in support, not taking a carry role up. She still can CC everybody. She can still shield and keep everybody alive and do some decent AoE and decent damage and decent CC. She is a great support for that. She doesn't need to be a carry at all. But what I would say is most of 99% of league players agree to that. But she has a very dedicated player base that are outright refusing to play her support. And they are like, nope, I'm a carry bot lane player. And it's like, okay. So they'll like this because it is a champion damage buff, but still just play her support, still play her shield priority. She's very strong with that. So yeah. Skarner! Again, still a very, very strong champion. The Scorpion is due for another hit. And remember, all of his items have been nerfed, and he is still too strong. This time targeted high-skilled players. Ability to optimize his Q. We're also increasing the cooldown of mobility and force him to commit to engages. I think that's also something that I saw yesterday, which I agreed with. I think I saw it on LoL Reddit. Is like, people are okay with tanks and juggernauts being strong. Yes, they have definitely been over strong for quite a long time, but the problem that I think people are not okay with is you can't have 8 running around with 8,000 health. The damage, even though you're building full tank nearly, like the damage to 1 or 2 hit squishy champion, and be the fastest moving champion in the game. Like, you can't have all of those, and that's what they've had. And Skarner obviously has had a lot of mobility with his rework, his borrowing, which I like. I think it's a cool mechanic, but it's the movement with all of that combined is the issue. Because to me, if you're a juggernaut, oh my god, I've got 8,000 health, rawr, you should be quite slow. And it's been the complete opposite. They a lot of the time are the fastest moving champions in the game. Look, they just nerfed movement speed Cho'Gath. You know, that's another variant. So I think this is okay. Nerfs are good to this type of thing. So the Q, the slow duration is going down from 1.25 to 1. So when he either throws, I think, the Q or the final attack, it slows the target. And then the actual final attacks, if you do 3 auto attacks holding the rock, it does the slam. It's being nerfed in damage, which again, good. These champions don't need billions of damage. So 10% of target's maximum health is now 8%, which is still a lot for a tank. So that's not bad. And then the E is going down by 2 seconds per rank. So there we go. Mr. Yorick. This is a jungle Yorick nerf. I have seen some people play this, but hilariously, the people that I've seen have not played it very well. In its random like concept, it is quite a fun, good concept. Is free Yorick struggles in very early lane phase where you avoid that jungling. It's kind of where we've seen Mundo jungle recently pop up in popularity. So they get an early free game as long as they're not against a massive invading jungler that most of the time doesn't even happen anyway. And then for Yorick at level 6, well, when you're all grouping and you're trying to do an objective, Yorick can send Maiden down a lane and just split push a whole lane, kill towers, and he's not even there. It's very effective. But they are nerfing his ultimate when it comes to the Maiden damage on monsters. So turning down his clear and also his ability to solo big objectives. I remember being against Yorick jungle a few weeks or days ago, and it was like, oh, he's going to try and solo Anakin. He's going to try and solo Baron. And they were trying to do it, but we were just there to stop them because it was predictable. But it will be a nerf to that if anything. Zed. Ooh, a Zed buff. I did not play Zed today in Unranked Diamond, and it's Huzzy pick, so a Zed buff is good for me because I will be definitely playing him soon. So his damage is going up, both by base damage, by only 5 per rank. The bigger buff is a 15% AD buff. Nice. It won't probably do a whole lot to Zed. The problem that Zed has got, based off his kit, and I'll even admit to this because, yes, as an ex-big Zed player, the one thing I hope people know, if my champions are too strong, I will call them out for being too strong. I called, a year or two ago, I was like, Anivia needs nerfs, even though I was like the rank 1 EU West Anivia at the time. I'm okay with that. I don't know if this is going to help Zed, because fundamentally Zed's kit, you could say for how old the champion is, he's one of the original like unfair champions of League. Because if a Zed is strong as a kit, fundamentally his job will stop you doing anything to him. If he controls shadows perfectly and he has the damage to do 100-0 one-shot as an assassin is designed to do, he can go in, do damage, avoid damage, be back, to his original point of with shadowing, and you haven't been able to do anything to it. That's the problem that Zed's got. And I remember Riot, I don't even remember why, they were talking about frustrating picks and frustrating champions in League, and they said Zed is nearly the #1 most banned champion based on frustration. I think Yasuo was pretty high up there too, because of Windwall. But Zed is a very frustrating champion to play against. So they don't ever want to bring him, I would say, a lot of strength. They need to basically give him enough strength that the average player randomly playing Zed isn't that impressive, is not going to be that good. But someone who does specialize in Zed, or it's just in their actual champion pool that they're good at, they can make him work. That's the sweet spot, but it is hard to find that sweet spot. Then we're getting some buffs to Staff of Flowing Water. The rapid AP buff duration is going up by 50%, 4 seconds to 6. Pretty good. Yum Tal. It's found a good place in some traditional bottom marksman, but melee crit carries are lacking a good crit itemization. We're adding ranged melee split to this item to help melee champs. Oh, that's pretty cool. So it's still 0.2% crit per attack for ranged, but that's doubled for melee, so you don't need as many auto attacks to get this item fully up to 25% crit. Obviously, they're mainly looking at Gangplank maybe, potentially, but it's mainly Yasuo and maybe Yone. But yeah, fair enough. Runes, Axiom Arcanist. Yeah, very strong rune, by the way. Single target ultimate in power was 14%, and AoE ultimate like 9%. Incredibly strong. So much so that, you know, playing occasional Anivia games, I still like to go the red tree and then precision tree, so electrocute and then precision. I was toying with the idea of swapping to, instead of precision tree, potentially going blue tree just to have Axiom Arcanist, because if you're going the Malignance build and you have Axiom Arcanist, that's a massive buff to your AoE of your ultimate, like huge. It still probably is pretty good because it's a bigger nerf to single target, but only a 1% nerf to AoE, so that's the damage you'd get on a Nivea ult. Still pretty good, so I might have to try that. Unflinching, bonus resist were 2 to 10. It's now 6 to 12, so it's a buff and a decent buff at the base, by the way. So that is pretty damn good. Sixth Sense, it remains relatively weak even after previous round of buffs. I think this is the one that detects wards around you, like every now and then. So they're buffing it to happen more frequently for both melee and ranged. Fair enough. ARAM changes, Swift Play changes. Again, that is for Swift Play. Arena is back. So the Grand Reckoning Arena is here. So they have made some changes. There's also a new actual arena itself for being a Noxus themed map. So yeah, there's that. There's a whole new system of bravery and crowd favorite, guest of honor system. So I might do a little bit of arena, maybe not too much, but a little bit potentially. It's also worth knowing if you have arachnophobia, so you're scared of spiders. If you do have arachnophobia, there's a setting that you can turn that like arachnophobia mode on, because Elise, as a guest of honor, obviously will have a lot of spiders coming around. So if you're scared of spiders, you can turn that setting on, and there'll be something else. It's the setting of hide eye candy in the settings, and there you go. So I don't know what they'll become if it's not spiders. If toggled on, no spiders appear anywhere. Elise will not show herself when a player gets cocooned. So what? Just a random cocoon happens. If toggled off, a big Elise in a spider form will fall to the sky and cocoon any player when they die. Oh, okay. There you go. Mythic shop rotation, bug fixes, and then yeah, the new skin. So you again the big boy one, and the only thing that is potentially making me want to buy the Act 2 battle pass if Riot doesn't give it to me is that Darius skin. That's the annoying thing. I do play Darius. I don't really care about the others. Like the Scion one's kind of cool, but the Darius one that has like, if from the cinematic, it is ice damage, that the fight with Trundle, the ice streak in his hair, that's kind of cool. Like, I do think that's a kind of cool skin, but yeah, is it worth buying the battle pass just for that? I don't know. But anyway, that is going to be it. Let me know what you guys think of the patch, and yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying the content. I do think it's been pretty good recently. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace.
Welcome to the Rift, where the legends play. It's Aussie games bringing skill every day. From tips to tricks and play so fine, you'll learn the game and have a good time. Thanks for watching, you're the real MVP. Hit that like and sub, join the family tree. Like, comment and subscribe, keep the Aussie dream alive. Tune in on Twitch, it's the place to be. Aussie games.